Hey everyone, today we're going to be checking out some new builds and picks from Korea that are doing a lot better since the patch dropped a couple of days ago. First thing just quickly as well, remember last video we talked about MUNDO jungle, and that is genuinely the most busted thing in Korea at the moment right now. They do it in a very specific way, like they start the same camp every game, they have the same pathing, ganks and everything like that. We're not going to go into it in this video because we did last time, but let me know if you want to see like a more dedicated video talking about like their obsession and how to use it and abuse it properly. Our first pick of this video though is going to start us in the top lane, and we're going to be looking at Kayle today, who had her update in 9.17, so that was 2 patches ago, but she was buffed in 9.18 to give more passive damage on her E, and this is the damage on every one of her auto attacks, and it feeds into her actual passive, so it does help a lot. The biggest thing about this is a new build that is kind of popping up, or I guess like an old build that we're kind of going back to. So we're not running this Manamune anymore. If you haven't seen Kayle for a while, we basically ran the Manamune to transform into the Mana and kind of play like an Ezreal. It's moved back though into Nash's Tooth, into Rageblade as your core, so it's back to like on hit, and it's mostly kind of auto attack damage rather than the AP to start the game. It is still a ton of AP after that though, like Gunblade for more healing, more chase potential and damage, and then Deathcap honestly to just stack everything up. You still have a very bad early game, one of the worst champions in the game for the lane phase, but once you go past 2 items, you're going to be insane. Once you've got that 3rd item, you've got your Gunblade or your Deathcap, whatever it is, and you've got your range form and stuff, you're like a Kassadin, like you are that good. The weird part is that almost all bruiser matchups start like really rough, like a Darius for example, or a Renekton, but then she outscales massively, so there aren't really that many lanes that you don't want to pick her into. You might suffer a little bit, but you'll still probably win the game. Like one of the funniest stats I found is like Renekton, right? If you play Kayle versus Renekton, 66% of the time there is a kill in that lane, it's going to be Renekton getting it. Only 1 in 3 kills top lane when you have that matchup is going to go to Kayle, but Kayle still wins more games on average against him because of the scaling, and it's not really even close. We are back to running Kleptomancy as well, so we're going to farm off of these melee top laners and get items a bit faster and more gold, and then we have Resolve Secondary to survive a little bit more. Next up, we're going to be looking at a pick that is more popular, especially higher up, and that is going to be GRAGAS support. We saw this a long time ago. Mickey has like worked this out in LEC and stuff, but it's actually being used a lot more in solo queue. So it's got really good potential to kill stuff in the lane phase, a lot of damage, okay poke, but it is more about the engage with your aftershock and your belly. A lot of the better GRAGAS supports now max their E first as well, so you get a lower cooldown, you get more damage when you actually go in, but basically you're just looking to dive into a fight. You have the armor and the magic resist from the aftershock to kick in so you don't die, but you dish out a ton of damage yourself, and you only need a little bit of follow-up after. You also have the damage reduction on your W, so that's going to help you survive a bit more, but it's just like an engage and a damage lane combined together. This honestly wouldn't really work without aftershock though. Like even if you get engaged on, like somebody dives on top of you, you just have to proc it by using your E, and you can actually return and kind of like fight back. All we've talked about so far is like fighting, and that's pretty much all this pick really does. You poke a little bit, but then you E in and you get some kills, and that's the entire point of GRAGAS support. The other side of it, the other point of it, is you rush a Zeke's Herald as well, and this is the only first item that actually works out. It gives pretty good stats, but as you E in with your ultimate, you're slowing everybody. You're making your AD do a bunch more damage, and you're kind of like just buffing them up. Knight's Vow afterwards is again more cooldown reduction, and with both of these together, you can throw your belly around all the time, and you're going to be peeling for your AD and buffing them up and protecting them. So next up is like Korea's best kept secret, I guess. It's a pocket pick for a lot of different players. I don't really know why, but I keep seeing it over and over. So Glacial Cho'Gath has made a returning career. Basically, you're just slowing everybody. You're disrupting your silence, you have your knock up, and you're being as annoying as possible. The good thing about this is that you get very tanky. You have really good engage. You're really good for your team, but you actually can carry yourself. You have a good amount of damage. It's just really the synergy with everything together that makes it so good. The synergy I'm talking about is mostly with Glacial. So it has a 7 to 4 second cooldown per target, so you can spread these out through the fight. What I mean is you can catch people with Twin Shadows, you can charge them down with Righteous Glory, you can slow an entire team with GLP. Now, all 3 of those items can proc Glacial slow raise. When they're slowed by that much from the Glacial raise, which is actually a lot anyway, and all 3 of those are going to proc them, it basically means you cannot miss your Q, which is your most important setup for everything else. You can actually max your Q as well if you want to. It does 300 damage max rank, plus you're going to get some AP on that and get it down to about a 4-second cooldown. This build is also 40% cooldown reduction at 3 items. It's a lot of AP, it's a lot of move speed, and also approach velocity also works with all of it, so you can run people down who are slowed and move faster towards them. Ingenious Hunter will also lower the cooldown of all of this stuff as well, so you can spam your items and your spells constantly, and that is what makes you so annoying. So next one I noticed first at higher ranks, but I looked at it and it's actually really good lower down as well, like gold and below. It's a bit of a different playstyle, but Korea has basically given up on normal attack speed SHYVANA and now just plays the wizard fireball version. This is actually even worse than a KO early game apparently, so if you have a really bad mental and you kind of tilt a little bit too much, I guess you might not want to play this. It doesn't do a whole ton early game, and since you're building AP, you can't just jump into fights that well either because they're going to turn around and burst you. As soon as you get your Nash's Tooth though, which is your second item, you will start to absolutely wreck face. You have attack speed, on hit damage that makes your kit better, plus those fireballs are nuts. This isn't a brand new fresh build, so you might know some of this already, but it is especially better in 9.18 and actually a really solid jungle pick. Your W, your E, and your ultimate all have AP ratios, and that is really why this works so well and why we can kind of play the wizard version. Your E especially is the kind of crux of the whole thing. It uses 70% of your AP. It gets down to about a 6 or 7 second cooldown with some cooldown reduction. The weird thing is that you're not really going to ult into people. You can do it. It has a really good ratio, but you're probably going to die most of the time. So you ult to the side of fights normally, and then you fire out fireball after fireball and keep pounding. It's a really weird playstyle, but the damage is really high, and if you can't get on top of SHYVANA and kill her early, then she's going to poke and burn down your entire team over the fight. AD carries are a little bit boring in Korea still. We have a lot of like Ezreal, Kai'Sa, Lucian, and also some Jinx as well. But Jhin has a crazy strong mid game right now in Korea, and they've started to use Dark Harvest a little bit more as well as his AD crit star. You get your Infinity Edge and your Essence Reaver as your first 2 items. This is what I do on Lucian, by the way, as well. Works really well for him, but basically it's 50% crit, both BF sword items as well. And for Jhin, that passive then amps it up even more. Rapid fire cannon is afterwards, long range crits, really good, but then your Phantom Dancer afterwards, so you're hard to kill, but every shot insanely hurts because that gives you your 100% crit. This is something that makes Jhin really powerful like mid to late game, and why you actually kind of want to pick him over other AD carries. Once you add in your Dark Harvest, it gives you even more damage. It has a really good scaling on there as well, so you want a lot of AD, which Jhin has, which is great, and there aren't really many champions that can take a fight with him anymore at that point and still win. Now, Fleet Footwork is still used more, and it's safer for sure. It's actually still pretty good at the moment, and you probably still want to use that as kind of your default. But Dark Harvest gives access to more healing because you have your Taste of Blood and you have your Ravenous Hunter, so you're not actually losing that part of it anyway. Obviously, you get more damage in your combo, which is really good, and it will help you pick up a few more kills, but you don't get the healing or the burst of move speed, which is probably the bigger part, and that's something that most people actually really like. Another buff this patch, alongside Jhin, was to Aurelion Soul, and he also had the rework a few patches ago as well, which actually changed quite a lot. 9.17 wasn't great for him, but 9.18 has spiked him to an insane win rate in Korea, and there are 2 very different builds as well. So the one I'm showing you is the health stack and the burn kind of build, so Rod of Ages and Rylai's makes you really, really tanky, and you have the slow. If you get ahead with this, nobody is really going to be able to get close to you and kill you before you kill them. You're just like, you are still really high damage with your base damage anyway, but they can't burst you down. The other way of doing this though is a GLP rush. So basically you go GLP, you go Morello, and then you go Liandry. So you notice you have like basically no health here. You're not very tanky, but you can still Kai people. And you still do way more damage as well with the magic pen. This is like the more glass cannon, heavy carry build, I guess. Both do really well. And actually at the moment, Rod of Ages seems to be a little bit better, which is why I've shown you that one. It is still focused around being a lane bully and roaming, which is what our runes are kind of for, but it actually makes that mid game better. After the update especially, you don't fall off as much. I think that's kind of why the Rod of Ages scale build works so well right now. Just a couple of extras that aren't really new builds, but better recently in 9.18. So Zarya hasn't been touched for a while, so I'm not exactly sure why she's so good, but now she's one of the best AP damage mages bot lane in Korea. They don't like damage mages a ton, but she's insane at lower ranks, so if you ever feel like you can't climb as a support, Zarya is definitely worth a look. Engaged supports aren't really that fun to deal with. Definitely more of a coin flip, but she will do really well against other mages or anything that she can burst down if she catches them. You can probably like one combo most AD carries at level 6, and this is a big part of it. So quite a few people in Korea have started to max their E now instead of Q again. Most people do use Comet. It works really well, but I kind of want to show you a different side of things, a different way to play it. So if you play Electrocute, you max your E as well. You catch people in that route and you burst them down really hard. It's less about your Q spam. It's more about catch, if that makes sense. So it kind of shifts the play style. It's slightly a different way to play, I guess. It's a bit harder probably as well, but it's more rewarding if you can hit that route into combo. Last up, Zoe got a passive buff in this patch. Not a huge amount of damage, but it would be enough to add up during a team fight when you're constantly using your spells. We've kind of seen her return as basically the queen of the lane phase. As weird as that might sound, she's one of the best at ending games early. If she does get that lead, she's going to fish for bubbles all day, and there's not really much you can do to stop it because you don't really want to like hard engage on a team that's ahead. She can roam pretty well as well, again looking for bubbles across walls, and then even dive easily after 6 honestly if she shifts over with her ultimate. We've seen a pretty big uptake since the new patch, and I think she's actually pretty good as long as you don't get set too far behind in the lane phase. By the way, as well, you can actually run this as a support now. I've seen a few people do this and it actually worked. The first time I had this, I kind of raged as the AD. I didn't really want to play with it, but basically you run the same stuff except Dark Harvest as your keystone for the extra damage, and you grab a Spell Thieves as your starting item. After that is the same. You're still rushing your Luden's Echo. You're going to be a burst mage, but you can set up and engage a lot of fights with your bubbles, and plus you'll be surprised how good it can actually be in the lane phase. It doesn't offer much defense, so if you're getting like put behind, you're going to suck, but you have to be a bit creative with your bubbles over walls and stuff to extend the range and force fights, but it can work insanely well. So those are going to be some picks from Korea that are actually much better now and hopefully give you a few ideas of things you want to play over the weekend and going into next week. Thank you for watching until the very end of the video. Let me know if you have anything else down below and let me know about that Mundo video. But for now, I will leave you with robots.